So, as said, I'm Marc Silverwood. I work at Northern, and part of today is obviously to look at basically what we're doing with our new digital trains. There's a lot of new fleet in there. People are aware that obviously we've introduced roughly around 100 brand new trains, but we've also got a large proportion of trains that are 30, 40 years old. And we're trying to bring in new digital technology to bring them up to the specification, and in some cases hopefully try and beat the newer trains to at least level them up a little bit. So things I'll run you through today is what technology does Northern have? We often don't talk in talks about what technology we have, what's available, and as just highlighted, what can we actually share, because talks have always kept everything very close to their, own quarters in terms of train operators. We don't share with other partners, and it's very reluctance in that level to ever do that type of thing. So we're trying to move forward in that respect. What does the future look like as well? So more sharing, more technology, talk you through that. And then how can we share more to improve safety, reliability, and ultimately, what customer benefits is that going to bring? Because at the end of the day, we're all here to improve train journeys. And if railway is not working right, people don't want to travel. So just to give you an idea, really nice, simple drawing after that last presentation, because that was reasonably complex, I think, for me. So looking at this, a very basic digital train. So every train that we've got is either fitted or will be fitted with a digital Ethernet backbone. That allows almost a foundation for us then to add other things on and future technologies. A lot of the things on there are obviously very highly dominated by what the Department for Transport set out, what good looks like. So that's allowing us to bring communication in for Wi-Fi, passenger information, CCTV. A lot focused around obviously customer improvements. How can we improve things for customer journeys, keep people happy? On top of that, we can start utilising this technology to bring benefits to trackside, to Network Rail, to British Transport Police as well, to ensure we've got that good sharing practice of the data we're capturing, because we're gathering so much data at the minute, we don't really know what to do with it yet, and nobody knows what to do with it when it actually lands back in our servers and our data centres. So to give you an idea, a new CAF train, without turning a wheel, will generate over a gig's worth of data just from the sensors on board. We've got 101 of them, so that's 101 gigs worth of data just from them trains. You add on the legacy fleet that we've got, that brings it up to nearly 400 trains worth of data gathered every single day. That's not including CCTV. So obviously to move that level of data is quite intense. So we have to be quite predictive in that sense, and also look at automation in how we can do it. So all them systems are nicely fitted on these lovely 150 trains that we've got, and a variety of others, and obviously the brand new CAF trains that are out there. Obviously CAF have obviously changed the benchmark in the north in terms of what is available. So we've gone from a 30, 40-year-old train that were actually built before the internet, just to bring it in perspective. And then we've got the brand new CAF trains that have got over 25,000 lines of entry code that actually pick up on sensors every second. So we're gathering all that information so we can then bring that back through into today's world. Again, it's a big shock because we've never shared that data. And then obviously we're now fitting the older fleet with this type of data as well. So to give you an idea, these are just some snapshots of our CCTV that we're working. This is all now live. We can log in straight away, see that. I've been working with colleagues in the back of how we bring this into our control centres. So when we're making decisions about keeping the railway running and working, we can look straight away at CCTV. If something happened a few minutes ago, we can log in and download it. Saves people actually attending the site to actually look at probably passive detail rather than the more intense of turning up. So we can do the preemptive before we even get there. As it says on screen, we've got 181 trains out there already fitted. We're going to bring that up to nearly 400 trains fitted by this time next year. So that's a big leap forward from what we've had historically, when the CCTV required somebody, probably like me, chasing a train around the north of England with a hard drive to try and pull the camera footage. A few days later you get it. Now we're talking a few minutes, at worst case a few hours to actually get your footage. All the cameras on there are specified, obviously, to ensure that we get good quality images. And the whole idea is that we can start and share this. So we've got networks and portals set up already with Network Rail that we share this data. We share with British Transport Police to try and bring them benefits as well throughout the entire industry. And we're now working, obviously, with partners in how we can build on additional technology to the cameras we've already got on the trains. So to give you an idea of some other technologies, we have remote condition monitoring. This is taken from a CAF train. So we can pick up, as said earlier, roughly 25,000 different sensory entry points for every single train that we've got. And it can all be brought into this nice little template. Again, we are sharing this through control. So we can see things like wheel slips, different vibrations on the train. We can then start sharing that automatically, and it will email you just to let you know it's there. So every single thing about this train is recorded and documented. So we don't want to leave the old trains out. So we're starting to fit technology to let a 150 do not as much, because obviously they are 150s, but they will be starting to deliver this type of information right through back into control so we can share it. So basically creating every black box on the train live so we can start and document and compile the information. So that will all be available, and we're starting to share that with Network Rail as well. GPS, often overlooked. Every single train that Northern's got has got GPS on it now. We're feeding that in to the RDG and Network Rail portal all the time, and we pick up every single second where the train is, what it's doing, what axis level it's on, and also what speed it's doing. So we can also start to look at that, which we're not particularly doing. We're doing it for location services, but we're not actually doing it for what is the train dynamically doing when it's actually out there recording this information. So we're starting to ramp that up so we can get GPS more accurate going forward, and then we can start to feed that into our algorithm systems that start to predict where the train should be and what the train is actually doing and delivering. So what does the future look like? I hope you like my drawing. It's not as good as the last presentation, but we're working on it. So a typical Northern train. They're out there, they're working. We've got hundreds of these things running thousands of services every day. So what we thought is, wouldn't it be great if we could capture information from these trains, from these services every single day, every single pass. So as I'd lovingly call them, the banana trains that are out there collecting data, what happens if these can do a lot of the legwork so we can focus that information in? So rather than having one train pass every few months, let's have a train pass every few minutes. This then allows us to start and pass that data over, maybe not to be used in a critical path, but in an informative path that we could then send people to go and look at it. So the stuff we're looking at, thermal cameras on the trains. Technology is cheap now. Not like fuel, but technology is cheap in thermal, so why can't we fit it? Why can't we start to look at our point heaters working? What's the temperature of the railhead, the ballast, everything? We're looking at LiDAR beyond visual eye. Technology that's very normal. Now you can probably buy it on Amazon for a few £100. So what's it going to look like on a train so we can then start to look beyond visual eye at what is visible to a CCTV camera? Acoustics. Probably looking back, probably to previous presentation of how does that actually look in terms of an acoustic signature as the train passes over. Could that start to detect different sound anomalies and different patterns as the train goes over every few minutes so we can then start to predict if something is wrong? G-shock sensors. We're actually doing this. We're mobilising already, fitting a G-shock sensor to a pantograph of a 331, and that will all be done and happening before the end of the year. So if we bring in the correlation between the train moving on the track with the OLE, how does that actually monitor? How does it look? How does it feel? We don't know. We can see it on CCTV, so we're going to start to pick up on G-shock in terms of how that looks and how that feels for the train. We're also then going to look at how the G-shock vibration formulates through from the bogie. So customer and obviously passenger comfort levels, but also what is the train doing? Is it wobbling too much? We don't know them things yet. So if we can add that in, so you have a G-shock sensor on the bogie right up to the pantograph, and we go over a bad piece of track or an anomaly in the track that we might not be aware of yet, we can prevent that by passing that information over and providing CCTV as well. In terms of communication, obviously I already highlighted how much data these trains are producing, and we're talking thousands of gigabits every single month. On average, Northern will produce probably 400, 500, 600, 700 gig a day of data that we move around the network. And to put it in perspective, Northern is the largest mobile edge server on the planet, and we're not even finished yet. So you would think a Google data center or Netflix or something like that. This is what we've got on a train moving around, hopefully around 70, 80 miles an hour. So how do we get that communication off? So again, working with Network Rail, how do we use all that vast fiber network that we've got to start and pull that information off to present then back to colleagues and partners within the rail industry to go, here's your data, go away and number crunch. It allows us then to share that better. CCTV analytics, starting to work on that. That's going to be up and running by the end of the year, so the cameras are starting to smartly look at everything it can see. Is that tree a bit too big? Has something moved? Is there a gap in the fence? Are the coping stones missing or different on the platform? Stops people having to go out and check things, and we've done that through COVID by sharing vast amounts of CCTV data to allow people to stay at home where it's safer when we've all been told to stay at home, but we've still got critical national infrastructure to run. So we've used CCTV for the first time in a real positive benefit. And live OTMR I covered earlier in terms of how we're going to start and link that in. So just to show you how it's going to look. So this is a CCTV image from one of our trains. And we start to machine learn that. So what does a tree look like? Could be a rather interesting question, but we start to program it up. What does vegetation look like? What does a shiny railhead look like? So if it's not seen that shiny railhead, it'll start and go, I've just seen a problem here. Do you want to have a look at it? And we'll start to learn that process through to allow us then to have automated trains, so we're not resource and people heavy, so we can actually put people where we need them rather than sitting monitoring hours and hours of footage or walking track. So sharing, we've created between Network Rail and Northern a group called Intelligent Railway, which is always interesting putting them names together because railway is always seen as old industry and old-fashioned, but we're moving forward quite rapidly. So this has brought together a group of people, only small for now, but we're starting to look at all that data I've just talked about and how do we proactively share it, not only with Network Rail, but with other train operators, other freight operators, to ensure that everybody's got the same data set. So if people want to join the party, it's an open door. People can come, so colleagues in other talks can add data sets, add CCTV footage, and we can start to work on things together. And the idea is that we get real-time alerts, and it might be passenger counting details, pulling into Manchester Piccadilly because we've got a train full. Why is it full? There might have been a defect down track, but we've already told you about that. And it's all about bringing that smart information together so it actually means something. Hopefully that were insightful.